So we all know that everything today is racist, but apparently that includes everything in history too. According to the BBC, the Black Death in the 1300s was racist. I guess we should start calling it the death of colour. Here's the article, which is really just amazing. Black women most likely to die in medieval London plague. Black women of African descent were more likely to die of the medieval plague in London, academics at the Museum of London have found. The study is the first archaeological exploration showing how racism influenced a person's risk of death during what was known as the Great Pestilence or Great Mortality. The research is based on 145 individuals from 3 cemeteries. The outbreak is believed to have claimed the lives of 35,000 Londoners. Data on bone and dental changes of the 145 individuals from East Smithfield Emergency Plague Cemetery, St Mary's Graces and St Mary's Spital form the basis of the study. This primary data was then examined by applying a forensic anthropological toolkit to estimate whether the bones were likely to have come from someone with African heritage. It found there were significantly higher proportions of people of colour and those of black African descent in plague burials compared to non-plague burials of 3 cemeteries. The report said, there is a significantly higher proportion of people of estimated African affiliation in the plague burials compared to the non-plague burials, 18.4% versus 8.3%. For the female-only sample, individuals of estimated African population affinity have a significantly higher estimated hazard of dying of plague compared to those with estimated white European affinity. There are no significant associations for any of the other comparisons. The likelihood of dying from the Great Pestilence was highest amongst those who already faced significant hardship, including exposure to famines that hit England during this time. The research concluded that higher death rates amongst people of colour and those of black African descent was a result of the devastating effects of pre-modern structural racism in the medieval world. Which are all pretty big words for a time when indoor plumbing wasn't even a thing. But what's the reality? The bubonic plague pandemic between 1346 and 1353 resulted in the deaths of 75 to 200 million people across the world, which, yes, included people of all races. But if we focus on London, 35,000 people died during the plague, which was more than half the city's population, killing between 40 and 60% of the entire country in 1 year. But we're supposed to conclude that digging up 145 people from 3 different cemeteries is enough to conclude that racism is the real problem. Racism for a virus that, based on actual research, originated in the Far East, probably from a 14th century lab in Wuhan. Do we know how many black women lived in London at the time? Do we know how many people died of the plague compared to privileged white women at the time? Do we know about any other factors like pre-existing conditions or diet or areas of living? No, because who cares? All that matters is keeping one virus alive, the mind virus of racism. If only Black Lives Matter had been around in 1348, just think about how different things could have been.